Today, my two hobbies have collided, and that's anime figures and custom computers. I haven't been this excited for computer components in probably like 5 years or so, and I feel like this was directly targeted and made for me. And that's because I am a huge Asuka fan. She's actually the very first figure that I ever collected. And here before me, we have ASUS's new second generation Evangelion collab of EVA-02 and Asuka. This is their very first official waifu PC, and here before me I have every single product in their lineup that we're going to unbox and showcase for you all, and then we're going to build my version of the EVA-02 PC. If you are new to this channel, I'm Senpai, and we normally do in-depth reviews of anime figures, so if you're interested in that, please check out our channel and consider subscribing if you enjoy it. But today I have something special for my computer building friends. If you follow our channel, you know that our editing rig died, and these components are the reason it's taken me so long to get a new computer. Because if I was going to spend the money on something, I wanted to make sure it was something that I really wanted. And I knew that after seeing these products that I probably would want these, and I did. I really wanted them. As a side hustle, I build high-end custom computers for clients, and I'm a sponsored computer modder, and I've worked and collaborated with ASUS. And ASUS knows that I'm a huge weeb, and in particular, they know that I like Asuka. So they extended me the opportunity to help them produce marketing material for this, which I did. So I was able to play with a lot of these components really early on in their release cycle. But as it stands right now at the time of filming this, everything you see here, minus the power supply and keyboard, are of my own collection. I didn't buy the power supply because I already have an ASUS Thor 1200 watt power supply, and I figured that instead of getting it, I could get some custom cables for my rig, which I've done. And I haven't got the keyboard yet simply because I just haven't gotten it. Every time it goes on sale, I get a notification and I always miss it. So sometime in the near future, I will have it. But ASUS was aware that I was going to film this for you all, so they let me borrow the power supply and keyboard so I can still show those to you all today. Originally, I was not planning to go this far down the rabbit hole with this product line. The motherboard is what died in my editing rig, so I figured I'd pick up a new motherboard, go ahead and use this opportunity to get a new processor and RAM, and I'll get the case because it matches. I normally do custom water cooling, so I wouldn't need the aesthetic of the AIO, and I wouldn't need the aesthetic of the 4090 because my GPU would already be water cooled. But a friend of mine was able to secure one of the EVA 4090s at his local micro center, so I couldn't say no, went ahead and got it, and the rest of the series. So now I'll be able to enjoy that for video editing or maybe even gaming, depending on how I choose to use this computer. And real quickly before we begin unboxing, this is going to be a product showcase. I'm not going to do benchmarks or anything like that. This is all reskins of products that already exist. So if you want to know the performance numbers, for example, like the 4090, you can look up the Strix OC 4090 and find benchmarks on that. We're also going to go over the price tags of everything that I introduced to you and understand that it's going to be more expensive than their regular counterparts. Working with an IP like this requires licensing fees that ASUS has to front, and then of course they have to retool their rigging so that way they can produce these products. So we can expect all of these to have an increase in price over their regular counterparts. So with that, with the power of editing, let's unbox everything you see here. Let's go ahead and begin with the two items that I don't have, starting with the power supply. So this is the Evangelion edition of the Thor 1000 P2 power supply. This has a retail price of $409.99. Now this is not limited to the EVA-02 edition. In fact, came out in the EVA-01 edition. And one of the interesting things is that for EVA-01, the cables were still red and black, which was always an odd choice to many of us, seeing as that edition is all purple and green tones. But it makes a lot of sense, finally, for the EVA-02 collab. Cable-wise, it comes with everything that you could possibly need for this build, including the 12 VH power cable rated for 600 watts, which will be perfect for the 4090. As mentioned, I'm not using this power supply solely because I already have a 1200 watt Thor, which you can see on screen right now. It's all black in comparison to this beautiful kind of silver two-tone look that the Nerve edition has. And I'll be using some beautiful cables that CableMod has provided for this build. You can see that I picked out some reds, orange, even a green stripe in there, and I think they're going to look fantastic for this build. And probably the coolest thing about this power supply is actually the case that it comes in. It comes in this military-style Pelican-looking case to transport the power supply in, and it's absolutely silly and insane, and I love it. And now for the item that I have not been able to obtain yet, it is the Strict Scope EVA Edition keyboard. Now this is of course EVA-02, and you can see it in this beautiful metallic red color. It's available in ROG switches. I admit that when I first heard that, I was a little worried because I'm a huge Cherry MX fan, and all my ASUS keyboards all have Cherry MX switches. I've been using them for 10 plus years at this point, so I'm very used to an MX Red. But upon feeling these keys, I'm actually incredibly impressed, and I'm actually going to slowly switch all my keyboards to the new ROG linear keys. One of the issues with Cherry keys is that the stem is center mounted, which means that the keycap has a lot of leverage over it, so it can wobble quite a bit. On these ROG keys, the mount points are in the 4 most extreme corners, and even the LED is unobstructed in the middle, but it makes for a super linear throw, and it's very rigid, so it actually feels close to Toper keys if you've ever experienced that. This keyboard also has a USB pass-through, so if you want to pass through for, say, the wireless mouse, you can do so there. Keyboard comes in at an MSRP of $149.99. If you do not want the keyboard, because maybe you already have an ASUS keyboard, maybe you just don't like the red look, but you want the keycaps, ASUS is selling the keycap set separately, and it includes additional variants of keys such as like the space bar, the enter keys, and the backspace. That also retails for $149.99, but on the store you can bundle it with a different ASUS keyboard and usually save somewhere around $60, $70 on that bundle. Along with the keyboard, you might want the EVA Edition mouse. This is the Gladius 3 EVA-02 edition that retails for $119.99. This is a wireless mouse that has insane specs such as 26,000 dpi optical sensor and 1,000 Hz polling rate. It is available in the 2.4 GHz band with a USB dongle that it comes with, or you can even go over Bluetooth if you want to use it with like something like a laptop, you can. It's also extremely lightweight and meant to be kind of one of those lightweight esports mice at only 89 grams. I do have a larger than normal hand size, and so I do find it to be quite comfortable even with my grip style. And for those interested, they do have a matching Evangelion mousepad. It is called the Scabbard 2, and it does feature a slew of Evangelion branding as well as ASUS ROG branding, and comes in at $59.99. Next up, we have the ROG Herculex. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. This is for those of us that are going to display the GPU in the normal horizontal position. That way you can see Asuka on the back. The 4090s are absurdly heavy, so you will need kind of an additional support to prevent it from sagging. And honestly, I thought this was pretty gimmicky. It's kind of just another way to add Asuka in there and a little more RGB, but the build quality is actually insane, and it should be because it costs $49.99. But this is literally a ratcheting mechanism and has a button to drop it over here on the side. And then this little pad here is what really does the final bit of GPU holding, and it's fine tunable. So you have a dial over here that you can raise and adjust. If you need it, you have a level, but if you don't like the look of that, it is magnetic and you can just pull it right off. So something that I thought was kind of just gimmicky, and really I just bought it to complete the look of the set. It's actually absurdly nice. And since I showed you the GPU holder, let's go ahead and show you probably the most insane part of this entire collection, which is this RTX 4090 Strix EVA-02 edition. This is the reason this system costs so much money. This thing retails for $2,299.99. That is a $300 markup over their regular Strix OC Edition 4090. But man, is this thing absolutely stunning. It is the most beautiful 4090 in my opinion, and that's Asuka aside. This metallic red is absolutely gorgeous, and red is my favorite color. But with that, what many of us really are paying for is that Asuka right there on the back. This is ASUS' first official waifu collab, and this is why most of us are going to insert this into the computer horizontally in this configuration so we can see Asuka on the back. So for those that do this, you can consider that GPU support that I just showed you. If you do buy the case itself, the Hyperion, which I'll show you towards the end of this, it does have a GPU holder, so you don't necessarily need that, but it does give you a chance to add a little more RGB flair plus add Asuka again. Having it sitting here in front of me though, I am quite humbled here. I know I'm very fortunate to be in a position to purchase a card like this. I did not think I'd ever buy a 4090 given their insane price tags. And it's just honestly pretty humbling. I do feel very fortunate to have it here in front of me. And for those of you who are fortunate enough to, obtain this and be able to purchase it, I know you're going to love it. It is absurdly cool. With the advent of my video editing rig dying, I decided to go ahead and kind of invest back in myself to get the 4090 so I can use it for video editing, or if I decide to not use it for editing, I could blow off some steam, gaming and kind of relax. So either way, I'm going to make sure I get my money's worth out of it and use it quite frequently. And for the part I thought I was going to stop at besides the case is the EVA Hero Edition motherboard. Now this is their Maximus lineup, so it does not come cheap. It is $699.99. That is a $100 markup over the regular Maximus Hero board. Now before the keyboard warriors get excited, if you are aware, there is a spelling error on the side over here. It says Evangelion instead of Evangelion. Part of the reason I've waited so long to produce this video is I was waiting for ASUS's official response so I can share that with you all. They are going to send out a replacement piece if you have a board affected by this, which is all of us that have it at this moment in time. But they're also going to extend our warranty for a year on this board. So to me, that's a win-win. They took care of it, no issues. So I'm going to go ahead and get my serial number sent to them so they can send that out to me. But I am absolutely floored with how this looks, and you can see kind of the graphics on the back. But I mean, this metallic red they're using is insane. So even outside of being an Evangelion fan, many people might consider it just for the colors that they see. This is a Z790 chipset, so you can use any 12th, 13th, or 14th generation Intel processors. I'll be using an i9 12900K that I bought off a buddy for $200. Could not say no to that, and that'd be great for editing. But yeah, just absurd. I mean, look at those colors. To me, it's just absolutely stunning. For those that don't want to do custom water cooling but still want a water-cooled system, they do have an AIO unit. This is the Ryujin 3 360mm AIO, Evangelion edition, of course. It has a very cool startup sequence that is EVA-02 themed and does feature Asuka on it. And of course the display can display information once it's booted up. They come with these really cool themed fans as well in that beautiful red tone. And they link together magnetically, so you only need one set of cables coming off the end. It is rather expensive at $399.99, but it is one of the best AIOs on the market. Then lastly, we have the Hyperion case itself. I think it looks stellar in the colors of EVA-02. It's this beautiful satin red color which matches the AIO fans, and it's going to look really good against that metallic red that the motherboard and the 4090 use. So I can't wait to see this all built. You can see on the inside it does have EVA-02. That is a light up panel over there. The side over here, I've taken off the glass panel. The other glass panel looks just like this. Both of them swing out, and then you can just lift them off to unhook them. The Hyperion comes in at $599.99, which is going to be $100 more than the standard counterpart. It comes with 4 massive 140mm fans. You've got one back here and then 3 up front. They are not RGB, so at the very least this back one here I'm probably going to swap out with an RGB fan. And now you've seen the entire lineup of EVA-02 products from ASUS. Now ASUS doesn't make certain components, so you do have to provide some. You need a processor. It's going to be Intel 12th, 13th, or 14th generation. You need some form of storage, and then you need DDR5 RAM. With that, let's go ahead and get my machine built. This thing is absolutely stunning, and it should be given the price tag of it. But the best part is it looks like a proper expert built computer, but you can buy it as is, essentially off the shelf, using off the shelf parts. It looks like something an expert computer modder would have made without any modding. I did absolutely nothing to this chassis or anything to fit any of these products. So you can literally buy these, assemble these, and achieve a look very similar to this. And in fact, you can achieve an exact look if you just buy the exact same things that I did. My only gripes during the build process was honestly the Hyperion case. I did have to whip out the instruction manual to figure out how to take off all this and get to the PSU area. That was not very intuitive. But that aside, I don't see any reason why this shouldn't have come with RGB fans. It comes with 4 140mm fans. They are of excellent quality, like they feel kind of cheap, but they're moving a ton of air very quietly. But I don't know why these weren't RGB to begin with. And in particular, one of my gripes with this lineup is that they don't offer the individual fans that match the AIO. You can only get those red fans if you purchase that AIO, whereas this spot right here is perfect for one of those. I ended up going with an EK Vardar because I have a bunch of them on hand, and I figured the white was a good contrast to the white that you see here in my cable sleeves and in that graphic up front and on the front nose of the Hyperion. I think it looks spectacular. If you're going to build this, I do recommend, no matter what, you swap this to an RGB fan because it adds a lot to the look here. Now, all of this is RGB. It can be rainbow if you want. It can be any color that you want. I think this yellowish color here looks fantastic for it. I think it fits the theme really well. I don't think it detracts at all from the red tones you see here and introduces enough light to see everything that's going on. Besides the RGB fan here in the back, if you really want to elevate your build, you probably want to look into getting some custom cables. The cables that come with the Thor PSU are great because they're red and black, so they match the theme. But the 12 pin right here comes in just a dark black color, so it looks completely different from the red and black theme. So at least getting this one cable here does elevate the build. Cables you see here are from CableMod, and I use their Pro configurator to pick out the colors that I wanted, the length of the cables that I wanted, and I think I came up with something that matches really well and elevates the look of this build. In particular, this cable right here, since it replaces just that black cable that the Evangelion PSU comes with. Other than that, I'm absolutely thrilled with this. I am in awe, and I do feel really humbled just having it and being fortunate enough to own this. But this is easily the best looking non-custom water-cooled computer that I've ever had, hands down. I think it looks absolutely spectacular. It's the first time I've had an AIO in like 10 years or so, and I think it looks stellar. This is definitely an effort that I hope ASUS continues, and even other companies going out of their way, getting IPs, and it's great to see of course, anime coming into more and more of the mainstream audience. As far as we can tell externally, these collections have been doing really well, especially around launch. It takes forever to get these parts because they sell out so quickly. So hopefully that encourages ASUS to continue producing more of these. Hopefully there is a market for them so we can keep seeing really cool, spectacular machines like this. For those that stuck around, I know this is different content than what we have normally, but it really is my two passions colliding, computers and anime figures. And for those of you that follow us that also enjoy PC gaming, I hope you enjoyed seeing this product line as much as I enjoyed building it, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have it here. I'll definitely put it to good use. This will not be the last PC content that we have for this channel. We need to build our studio PC that's going to run the equipment for Anime Figure Archive, which is going to be our short form series that we hope to launch early next year. And we'll do a build video very similar to this where we show you the entire process and what the build is going to look like that we're going to be using in every single video that you're going to see on this channel moving forward. So look forward to that. Thank you all for watching. Take care.